wish you'd understand. I just wish that God had a better plan. I'm so confused. I need a redo. Inside of me that's begging and begging and pleading. I just wanna feel free. I just wanna feel lovely. I'm surrounded by love that's in pain. Can I wipe your tears away? Please don't hurt for me. I hate that it's for me. It's for me.
Hi, welcome back to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast, where I am trying to spread awareness about what it is like living with chronic disease. I have been living with multiple sclerosis for the last 28 years. I talk about my journey as well as the journey of other chronic disease warriors all over the world, just to help people understand what it's like going through that diagnosis, the mental health part of it, the family part, the understanding part. Today, I am sitting down with an MSer I met online. I met Juliann on TikTok a few weeks ago, and I love everything that she's about. She's young, and she actually got diagnosed with this disease at the age of 15, which I'm always interested to hear that journey because it's unique. There's not a lot of juveniles that get diagnosed with MS, and I think it's crazy to have kids living life without that diagnosis. But please welcome to the podcast, Juliann. How you doing today, Juliann?
Hi, Brian. I'm doing really good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. So, Juliann, I met you on TikTok a couple weeks ago, and then when I heard your story and you're diagnosed with at the age of 15, I was like, oh my God, I got to hear this girl's story. And the more I learned about you, we talked a little bit before we recorded. I'm just blown away. And you're also the mom of an autistic warrior. And I have a real special place in my heart for that because I have a stepdaughter that's on the spectrum, and I want to talk about that. But can you please tell me how you got that diagnosis when you were 15 back in 2014? What kind of symptoms you were having, the way you were feeling, and how you got a doctor to actually tell your mom and dad and you that you had you were diagnosed with MS?
It was really hard. Trying to go back to that time. That was a really hard time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play guitar a lot, and that was like my favorite hobby was playing guitar. I would come home from school, I would go in my room and I would play guitar because I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being young and my hands started feeling weird. My left hand, where I gripped the chords with, started feeling off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard. It was to the point where it was hard for me to grip a chord when I was playing guitar. So I remember telling my mom, like, hey, my hand's starting to feel weird. So after I told her that, she made me an appointment to see my pediatrician.
Mm-hmm.
And my pediatrician just told me, oh, you probably pinched a nerve. You're playing guitar a lot. Just give it a break for a little bit. So I took a couple weeks off, and then the crazy thing is the feeling came back. So I was like, okay, yeah, I just probably pinched a nerve.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
But not even, like, I want to say a few weeks went by, or it was about a month. It could have been shorter or longer. I can't go back that far.
Mm-hmm.
But it started to affect my legs. And I used to play softball too. So I used to pitch. And when I started noticing I wasn't pitching right, I even remember the day I asked my catcher, I was like, am I looking weird when I'm pitching?
Mm-hmm.
Because this feels really weird.
Yeah.
And I remember her response was, yeah, you look a little off. I felt really off. Like the walking started getting wobbly. My foot started dragging. And I was just like, what is going on?
Wow.
So I remember my mom made another appointment for me to go see the pediatrician. And then right when she saw me and my legs were dragging, she scheduled me an MRI appointment right away.
Your mom did. Your mom got it scheduled for you? Good for her, man. I'm so glad that your mom advocated for you and pushed it. and got that MRI ordered. And did she have a lot of hard, did she have a hard time convincing a doctor to run that MRI, or did the doctors like say, hey,
Um,
go ahead?
no, she didn't. Luckily, I had a great pediatrician. Absolutely loved her, Dr. Lynn. She was amazing.
Hmm.
She just said, okay, we're gonna run some tests, and they scheduled me an MRI. And my mom called the doctor and set up all that for me. And I remember I went in to get my MRI done, and that morning they called my mom and they said, "You need to send her to the hospital now because the MRI is looking very abnormal."
Wow. You're,
I also remember
yeah.
back then too, it wasn't even just the leg dragging. I was getting really bad headaches to where I was falling asleep in class.
Mm.
And I was just like hurting all day. Like my head was hurting. I was tired. And it was a lot. Like my body was just going through a lot. And I didn't know what was going on.
You had to be scared to death. I mean, at 15 years old, I know when I was 27, when I got diagnosed with this
Hmm.
disease, I was scared shitless, Julianne. And
I was,
I can't
yeah.
imagine at 15 years old what's running through your head, because you were a normal kid. You're doing your softball and all that, and now all of a sudden shit's
Mhm.
like going crazy. I can't imagine how scared you had to have been.
I was terrified, but thank God for my family. My sister, my dad, my mom, my brother. They were all pretty like, "You'll be okay." We were trying to figure out what's happening to me was the main question that we all had.
Yeah, I'm sure they were
Uh,
just as scared as you too, because I mean, that's their sister and that's their daughter, and I they had to be scared
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I remember when I was admitted to the hospital, my brother, he was probably around my son's age, around 7 or 8, might have been younger.
Mm.
But he told my mom, he was like, "I don't want to go in the room. What if I cry?" And I was like, "Oh,
Mm. Yeah. God, it's just
oh
that's
no,
just
that
crazy.
was so dark."
So let me ask you this, Julianne, and I
Mhm.
don't I know that I talk to people all over the place, and they get told that they have MS, and they it's a mental drain. And it's never
Yeah.
addressed. It's never really addressed. I know it wasn't really addressed with me, and a part of it's my fault, but I mean, it wasn't in 1997, mental health wasn't considered as big of a deal as it is today.
Yeah.
When you were 15, and this is new to you, this is new to your parents, was mental health even discussed back then?
It's funny you say that because my mom, I remember her asking me, "Do you want to speak to somebody?" And of course, I was so young and just thought, no, I don't think I need to. I felt like at the time, mental health and talking to a therapist wasn't looked at in a good way as it is now.
Yeah.
If I can go back to that time, I would have said yes.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of hindsight is 2020. With this disease,
Hmm.
there's a lot of things that I would have done a lot differently early in the disease, and definitely the mental health would have been one of them. I just
Yeah.
think it's been the hardest part of this journey for 28 years. The physical part sucks, the vision
Hmm.
part, the pain and all that, but the mental part is just you never get a break from it ever, ever, ever. You might have good days and good weeks and good months and even good years with MS, but it
Hmm.
never leaves your mind. It's always beating you up on the inside. You're always like feeling embarrassed, or you're feeling left out, or you're feeling not understood, and it's just a constant mind fuck, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. Like MS is not for the weak.
No.
We are strong as fuck.
Oh, hell yeah, we are. So let me ask you this: 15-year-old, you still got high school to go through and make it through, get into adulthood, basically. I mean, how did after you got that diagnosis, like how did your mom and dad come to learn about the disease? How did your classmates learn about and understand the disease, your friends? And how did like it affect relationships?
My parents were amazing. My dad, he's really into like the holistic way of things. So I tried so many I tried so many diets that were that he Googled. he found books and we tried to just learn about what this is because it was a lot to take in for all of us.
Right.
It wasn't just me, like my family was in on it too. And I'm very blessed that I had them because they're
Awesome.
really, really, really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't have that family support. So, yeah, thank God you
Mhm.
had that family support. That is really, really important. But
Yeah.
how did the kids that you were growing up with? I mean, everybody has best friends back then, 15, 16 years old. How did they understand that disease back then?
They try it's funny. I remember I still do. I used to drink a lot of coffee growing up, and obviously that hasn't changed. But I remember going into class and my best friend had Starbucks and so did her boyfriend at the time. And I was like, "Oh, like, why didn't you guys tell me you were going?" And she told me, "Oh, you have MS. You're not supposed to drink coffee." I Googled and I was just like, "Oh," like I was mad at the time, but thinking about it now, I'm like, "No, like, they're just trying to be a good friend
Yeah,
and help you
that's
feel
cool.
better."
Oh, that's really cool. Now, did you have experiences of people that you were in school with that were kind of made fun of the way that you were walking or anything like that, or were you lucky and had a school that the kids were really
Mm,
nice?
it was kind of a hit or miss. I honestly feel like I probably was talked about, but I missed so much of my junior year that I didn't really even get to think about that. I did lose friends. I can't say I didn't. I did lose friends, and that sucked. Um, you definitely see who your true friends are when you get sick.
Oh yeah, you do. I had a circle of friends, when I was in high school, when I went in college, and everybody was wanted to be my friend because I played at Michigan and all that, and then I get done playing and I
Mhm.
lose a few friends because I'm not playing football anymore. So they don't have that connection with me anymore. And then after I got diagnosed, I mean, my circle got even tighter than that.
Yeah.
Because now, oh God, I mean, now he's not the fun guy that he was, and now he's not, going out and partying like he used to, and because he's not feeling good. So it's just like
Mhm.
my circle got tighter and tighter and tighter. But I mean, in the end, 55 years old, I know who my handful of friends are now.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I know who my friends are, my true friends are. And honestly, it was mostly my family.
yeah,
My sister, my brother,
yeah.
my parents, my cousins, like they all were there and they still are here.
Yeah, that is just so awesome. So what kind of DMT did they put you on at 15 years old? I don't even
Oh
know the answer
man.
to that because I mean, are there certain DMTs that they like try to avoid juveniles even taking? Or I mean, I don't what was the discussion back then when you were 15 about the DMTs?
Brian, that was the hardest time for me. I remember I was on Copaxone first, and that did not work for me at all. I was flaring like probably every other week. I had a new symptom, or my legs were feeling numb. And I remember I was so over going to the hospital back and forth. I didn't say anything when I had the tingling feeling. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. It'll go away on its own. I remember going to the neurologist and they told me, "You can't ignore that feeling, you have to tell us right away." It was a lot of steroid treatment, a lot of, um a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
I remember, after Copaxone, I was in a flare and my feeling wasn't coming back, so they had to do the IVIG,
Mm,
and that luckily brought me back. And then I also went through 3 different neurologists until I found the one that can help me, which shout out to Dr. Berkovich. I absolutely love her. She saved my life
wow.
because I went from not walking and, having all those symptoms to, okay, you're walking again. You can run again. You can see. Like I love her so much for that.
Isn't it amazing finding the right neuro? And there's
Yes.
a lot of great neuros out there. Because I've talked to people from all over the world and they love their neuro, and I'm like, that's so important. But then I hear people that, their neuro doesn't listen to them. They just feel like they're just a number. They're just a moneymaker for the hospital system. They don't really give them the care that they
Yeah.
really want. And I hear those stories too, and it's just like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes this battle even harder when you got a neuro that doesn't listen to you.
Yeah, Brian, I agree with you on that one. It's hard, and honestly, thank you. I'm so thankful for my dad because if it wasn't for him and finding the right neurology team for me, I probably would be in a wheelchair still, and it would have been hard.
Yeah.
It would have been really, really hard.
Yeah. And that's so important that we have that support, from our parents, especially for you at a young age. And it's so important that you have the support with your husband. And I want to give him a big shout out, and I want to start talking about him because I mean he's been in this journey as long as since he's known you and your kids. You got two little kids, and your son Mason, the 3 year old, he's on the autism spectrum. And I want to give a shout out to Lucas too, his brother. And I just think your family is amazing. And just talk to me about your support system there with your husband, and we'll talk about both your boys and just about autism and everything about you.
Yeah. My husband, he is such a good support for me, not only me, but my kids. I remember when I was going through the worst flare I've ever had in my life, he kept telling me, "You're okay, you'll be okay." Just like super positive, like the bright light that I needed, even though I was at my worst. Like I knew I was not okay. I felt I was not okay, but he just made me feel, "You're good. You're going to be okay. You're going to walk again. You'll be able to see again." And
How did
he
you
kept
guys?
me
How
in
did you?
such a
How did? Let me ask you this though, Julianne. Not to interrupt you, but how did you end up meeting him? You're 15 years old. I can't believe that you knew him or you were in love together. And you rode off into the sunset. So how did you like get the connection with him after your diagnosis and developed into falling in love and getting married and having 2 kids?
It's a funny story. He was actually in one of my classes in high school. And I remember telling my best friend, I'm like, "Who is this? He's so cute, blah, blah, blah." And then I finally found out who he was this was probably a few months before I got sick. And then I remember going back to school and he wasn't in that class anymore. So I was like, okay, well, he graduated. I'm never going to see him again, whatever. Um, go forward a few years, and I'm working as a hostess at BJ's. And who walks in? My husband, the guy that I had a crush on. And I remember telling my coworkers, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Garrett. I had the biggest crush on him in high school. Like, there's no way that's him." And then I remember my coworker gave me the menu and she was like, "Here you go. You can feed him and his friend." And I was so scared. And then from there, that kind of is just how it went. Like, I remember sitting him and his friend, and shortly after that, we started talking, we started hanging out, we started dating,
How
and
did
now here we are, married with 2 kids and a dog.
how did he understand? How did how did he understand? We're gonna talk about Mason here in a little bit and give him another shout out in the background. Um, but how did he understand the MS part? Like did he even know what MS was, and how did he learn it? Knowing that he knew you in high school and you guys didn't really start becoming an item until you were out of high school, and he knew that you had MS. How did he learn about it?
No. Um, so crazy story. Well, not really. Is it a crazy story? A coincidence, I would call it. One of his good friends, his mom has MS, so he knew what it was. He didn't know exactly, but he's heard about it, and he was like, "Okay, my friend's mom has that." And so, like, just hearing, "Oh, somebody else that you know has it," that was kind of like, he knows what to do. He knows what I'm going through.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I
I
mean,
kind of,
it's awesome. It's awesome and it's sad. It's awesome that he understood it. That he had a family
mhm.
member, unfortunately, that had it, so he understood it that way. But it's kind of sad that everybody's not like that. Just gets it. They get that you have MS. They understand it's a problem, but they're willing to grow with it and grow with you and just fight the fight with you.
Yeah. I have another story to say. I remember he told me a good, or not, I don't know if it was a close friend of his or just a friend. that he had at the time told him, "Oh, you shouldn't date her because she's sick."
Mm.
And I remember this is when I knew. I was like, "Okay, I love him." Um, the girl told him, "Oh, be careful, she's sick. You know, she might end up in a wheelchair. You don't want to date her." And he told me that he told her, "I don't care if I have to push her in a wheelchair, I will." And I drove home crying because I was so like, "What?" I was kind of in shock, but I'm like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
And he's shown it. He
Yeah.
saw me at my worst and he did
I mean,
exactly that.
to me, the guy's a badass. I would love to meet the guy because I mean, he's not only being a support for his wife, but he's got a son on the autism spectrum, and I know that's a
Mhm.
battle because I got a stepdaughter that's on the autism spectrum. She's high functioning, and she's finishing up her PhD, and going to be a pharmacist and everything. And I know the battle that my wife went through getting that diagnosis. It took 4 years to get that diagnosis. And I know Mason's a 3-year-old, and you just within the last year got that diagnosis, and it was a fight for you. And I just
Yeah.
want to talk about the autism part about it because I think this is another disease like multiple sclerosis that's not understood. And
Uh-huh.
there's not a lot of answers. And I just want to talk about your journey with getting Mason that diagnosis.
It was hard in the beginning. It was hard for the doctors to listen. It was honestly a fight because I remember the first couple of pediatricians I saw there just telling me, "Oh, he's just a kid being a kid. Oh, he's fine. Oh, older brother's doing all the talking." And then that's when I just kept bouncing from doctor to doctor to find one that would listen to me.
Yeah.
And I finally did. And from there, I remember discussing the symptoms that we've noticed that my husband and I were saying that's not really normal. He's not hitting his milestones like his brother was.
Hmm.
Like something's different
Yeah,
about him.
and you knew it. You were the parent, and you fought this fight, and I sympathize with you that you had to fight that hard. But I understand it just because of the stories that my wife has told me that she had a battle down in Tennessee to get Maddie, her diagnosis
Hmm.
at that age. She said I knew that there was something wrong with my daughter, but nobody would listen to me, and
Yeah.
she had people telling her, doctors telling her that you're just a bad parent, when
And
and
so
yeah, it's awful that you got medical providers telling parents that. I mean, it's just terrible.
that is so terrible. Even just, I remember it's kind of like you have to listen to your mom gut or your dad gut, like just because you see them every day. You're with them 24/7, and the doctors only get to see them for that 30 minutes that they're in there. And most of the time, that's when they are doing good and
Right,
are acting totally normal, which
right,
happens more like I feel like you take even growing up, when you would take yourself to the doctors, of course, that day you go, you're feeling better.
right. And
I feel
another
like
thing,
that's
how about this? I know when my wife was going through her journey, getting her daughter diagnosed with autism, and then when I started learning about it and just learning about how people react around her daughter,
Mhm.
and
Huh.
I seen it out in public, and you see like if you're out in a restaurant and your kid's having a hard time, they're having an episode, they're having sensory issues, and you got people staring at them going. Man, all day that kid, that mom and dad can't control their kid, and
Yeah.
I think that happens so much, and I didn't realize that until I got involved in the autism world, and I witnessed it, and I saw it, and I think it's terrible,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, that happens, unfortunately. I remember we were leaving to go out to go pick up brother from school, and he wanted to stay in the house, that's his little safe zone. He was screaming, like total full-blown tantrum, and I remember this lady she was walking her daughter, and she stopped, and she was staring at us, and so what did I do? I looked at her, I gave her a big smile, and I waved, and I
Right?
kept walking.
Yeah.
I kinda just now I look at it in a different way because I know people don't know, so
Right.
whatever can comfort my son, I will do. And I get so irritated when we get those like looks
Yeah.
when
I,
people are just staring at me like, "What are you doing? Control your kid." I'm like, "He's so uncomfortable. He doesn't want to be here."
yeah. And people just don't understand that, and I think
They don't.
I think that like that puts the fear into the parent. Like they don't even want to talk about it because they're kind of embarrassed themselves.
Mhm.
But they just want to be understood. And it's the same way when we were young in our diagnosis. I know we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, that you didn't want
Mhm.
people to know about your MS, and you kind of hid it. And I said, yeah, I relate to that because when I was 27, I did the same thing. So let's talk a little bit about that, and just how we just thought that it was just the wrong way to go with it, to try to help people that are new in this diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah, the very beginning, I remember, like, it was just hard. I was missing so much school, and I remember talking to my best friend at the time, and I was like, "I feel like I should just tell everybody what it is." And she was like, "No, just keep it a secret. Don't say anything." And that right there, that was hard because I was going through so much, and it was just a lot to take in. And I remember because I play guitar, and when I lost feeling my hand, I started singing because I loved music so much.
Hmm.
I didn't want it to get affected. I was like, okay, if I can't play guitar, at least I'll be able to sing.
Right.
So I started doing that, and then I started slowly writing songs, and I actually wrote a song about my MS.
Hmm.
And I believe it was a little bit before that time I told everybody what it was, what I had,
Yeah.
and a lot of people didn't know. A lot of people didn't know what was going on, what MS was, and the only person on social media that I knew had MS was Montel Williams. So I actually got in contact with him. Or take that. I'm going to go back a little bit because in high school we had to do these projects at the end of our senior year, and it was a capstone project.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. I can write about my MS." So I was gonna do a topic on that. And you need people, you need like quotes, or you need like somebody to talk about the topic as well. So I remember my dad was telling me about Montel Williams, and I looked into him, and he's such a fighter as well. Like he was such an inspiration back then.
Hmm.
So I went on Twitter and I got in contact with him, and I asked him if I can have a quote from him, or if he can just be in my project. And he got back to me.
That's awesome.
And this quote that he told me, I say it more because it really hit at the time. And all he said was, "Remember, you have MS and it will never have you unless you let it."
That's awesome.
And that really hit. That really hit me. And I was like, I needed to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Props to Montel for messaging you back. I think that's just an awesome story that, you got a guy with his name that actually reached out and told you that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's just really, really awesome that, another MSer that at his level reached out to somebody that was scared and said that to you.
Yeah.
That's an awesome thing.
It was really, really, really awesome. Like I wasn't expecting a reply. And when he got back to me, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, he actually did respond to me. This is so cool.
Yeah, and just to think how much that meant to you, and now you're able to talk about that now, 10 years later. I mean, that's an awesome story, Julianne.
Yeah. I still think about that. Like on my bad days, I'm like, and then even my husband will remind me. He's like, remember, you have MS and it won't have you unless you let it. And I'm just like, okay, thank you. Like I need to hear that some days because, we have bad days.
Yeah, yeah, and we're dealing with life. I mean, you got little Mason in the background there, talking
Oh,
and getting his podcast time, and
oh yeah.
I mean, life's still going on. You're battling this battle with MS, and you still taking care of a kid that's on the autism spectrum, and
Yeah.
people don't understand that. That just because you have MS, we're still dealing with our other life problems. We might get diagnosed with cancer later on, but the message
Yeah.
the message I try to tell people that I talk to that are new in this diagnosis is, that no matter how bad it gets for you, the The sun's always going to
Mhm.
come up in the morning. And the day, and there's going to be a day it's going to go on with or without you. And you just have to keep on fighting. And I just love it. And that sounds like the way that you are. And I really
Mhm.
appreciate that about you, Juliana.
Thank you. I try. Even like I remember, and I still tell myself when I'm in my like little funk and I don't want to go work out, I don't want to go walking or do any type of exercise. I kind of have to remind myself, like, hey, what if you wake up tomorrow and you can't feel your legs?
Right.
What if you wake up and like you're flaring or you're sick again and like you're going through an episode?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, just go, just make yourself go. But some days I need to sit back and to let my body rest because
Yep. Yeah.
you know those days when you just like, I can't, I need a break.
Yeah, and that's a learning process, and the thing that blows me away about you is that you're 27 years old, and I was diagnosed at 27, and where
Mhm.
you're at on the mental aspect of this disease is mind-boggling to you, and I know that's because you got diagnosed at 15, so you were kind of forced into it at a young
Yeah,
age, but to where you're at is just I'm blown away by everything about you, Julian.
thank you. I try my hardest to keep strong and keep a positive mindset. And some days are better than others. And honestly, writing songs has helped me cope.
That's a
Music
tool.
has helped me cope.
Yeah, and that's a tool, and we talked a lot about that too, and the different tools that we use. Like I you know,
Yeah.
I go up to the lake and I love to go fishing now, and I didn't do that 10 years ago, and I found that, and now that is one of my tools, and my tools change all the time. You know, that you start out with one that
Mhm.
works for you, and then all of a sudden, this disease
It
changes its
changes.
course, so you got to find a new tool to take the place of the old tool that you can't use anymore.
Yeah, you said that on point. That is so true. Because I remember I was actually I was making sourdough bread at one point, and I had a lot of fun through that, but it was getting hard. And then it was just taking care of my kids. I remember my oldest would tell me, "Oh, you're making bread again? I don't like when you make bread. You get so busy." So I was like, okay, I need to focus more on Lucas and Mason, and the bread can have a pause right now.
Right?
Because it was like a coping, and then it kind of turned into a little job, and then it got harder to manage. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a pause on this, and then I'll get back to it eventually. But
Yeah. Yeah, and there's nothing saying that you're not going to get back to that eventually. You know, I mean, it might be a week, or it might be a year, or it might be 5 years down the road. But like I'll use broadcasting for an example. I mean, that was my dream back when I was 20 years old and playing at the University of Michigan. I wanted to finish a career out and get into broadcasting, and MS put a pause on it. You know, I mean, that was my dream, and I didn't think I was ever going to accomplish that dream. And then fast forward 30 years, maybe, I don't know, I do the math on it, 2000 1991 to now, I'm doing it. And I never gave up on the dream, even though I know it was on a long pause. But look at me now.
uh,
Look at me now. You know, I'm doing what I want to do, and I just say fuck MS, and you can still do whatever you want to do. You just got to figure it out. We always figure shit out. You just got to do it. You just got to find a
yeah,
way to get through this freaking shithole disease that we got signed up for, even though we didn't want it.
yeah, I agree with that. Like my husband says, just lock in. Like it's hard some days, but I try. I try.
Man, Julianne,
But
I can sit here and talk to you all day. I know
same, same.
we have so much in common, just at the age you are now and the age I was when I started this. And I mean,
Mhm.
but if anybody was in the same situation as you, or maybe there's parents listening that are trying to get a diagnosis for their kid, what would that message be
Mhm.
to just like not give up and advocate for yourself and just keep on fighting this fight? You're going to be okay.
You're stronger than you know you are, and it'll show. Because I look back at that and I didn't realize until now, like I went through a lot, and just having that support system has changed. Like even because when I was younger, nobody really had it, nobody talked about it. And I remember going on YouTube and I found one girl around the same age as me. And she was like super open about it. And the only crappy thing was that she lived really far, so we couldn't meet up.
Yeah.
But I try to look, I don't know, it's just like, just listen to yourself
Yeah.
and know that you're the strongest person, even when it comes to your kids. Know that you're right. You're the parent, and most of the time, we're on the right point. We're on the right track.
You're their voice, man. You are their voice, and you gotta give your kids the voice and stand up for them. What's going on with your kids. I mean,
Yeah.
you're the one that brought them into this world. You know them better than any doctor out there. Just
Mhm.
advocate for them. Advocate for them. I love that, Julianne.
I agree with that. Thank you so much. Yeah, advocate for them and just listen to yourself. If you hear a no and you say, you know, you're right, find a different doctor. Always get a second opinion,
Yeah.
because the first person that you meet might not be the best, and it might be the worst, or it could be the greatest doctor that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Julianne, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with me. I know a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this if they just take the time to listen to you talk, because you just brought so much wisdom from a young girl, 27 years old, about autism and about multiple sclerosis. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brian.
All right. All right. If you want to follow me on TikTok, you can find me at MS Michigan Man 64. You can also find me on Instagram, MS Michigan Man 64. And I am on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, share it out, follow us. We want to be understood. The best way to be understood is to listen to us talk. This is the MS Michigan Man 64. I am out.